Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Kasper.
What up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Man Cave Podcast, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee and Eau Claire. Hey, don't forget, as always, to follow and subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, like Apple and Spotify, also up on YouTube. Also, don't forget, if you could, give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, because that helps others find the podcast. We got another top 5 plus. So Brandon is with me with this episode, and this was a Brandon special,
for better or for
worse, nomination here, top 5 plus. I'll let you kind of explain it here, because I feel like I'm not doing it justice when I say role players with this.
So, yeah, I mean, to say top 5 role players is kind of a little vague. So
yeah.
What I meant was basically top 5 players that played on maybe a team you cheer for that you really liked, that weren't like the star of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of put a cap on basically no Pro Bowlers, no all. You can't have made a Pro Bowl, an All-Star game. You were an All-Conference player or whatever, like in in college, whatever. If that's the case, like just 5 players that maybe weren't the best player on the team, but you just always seem to really like them.
Yep. So I think that makes sense. So I believe I did my homework on mine to make sure they do not have any All-Star or Pro Bowl. So, but I do have a couple of honorable mentions. I don't know if you do.
I have several honorable mentions. This was not easy.
Oh my goodness!
I'll rifle through them pretty quick, though.
Okay, several honorable mentions. All right, go for it, bud.
All right. So a couple of these, I want to make sure I had representation from a couple different sports, and these are in no order. These are just
yep.
They are.
Honorable mentions are
yeah. So my first one is I wanted to represent for Badgers football.
Okay.
So I went for a guy who kind of got overshadowed with the Badgers, and even now he's still playing in the pros. Like he's played a while in the pros. Dario Gumbawale.
Okay.
Guy
running
that
back.
He kind of had 1 year, I think, with the Badgers where he kind of got the lion's share of the load, but of the running back load. But still, like obviously, around that time, a lot of other more high-profile running backs. But he, undrafted, but he's still in the NFL.
Yeah,
like
sister's a really good basketball player too.
That's true,
yeah.
But he's pretty good in his own right. Like he's just survived a lot, being kind of like a third down, third running back.
Yeah.
And I just always appreciated that, the versatility that goes with that. Like being able to make a career out of that, it's not easy.
Exactly. Yep, that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another Badger I went with. And a guy that I actually thought was a little bit better than his numbers bared out, but because he didn't average a lot of points. I went Mike Bruzowitz.
Ah, nice.
If you
farmer,
remember,
yeah.
right? I mean, 2010, 2011, 2012, like a 6'10" post player.
Yep.
Had long red hair.
Yep.
I mean, he was just kind of that textbook hustle player that he started. He
Carrot top.
Yeah, like he scored points, stuff like that. But like, I don't know, he just. The kind of guy I thought he was just very easy to root for.
Yep.
Like a guy that he was a starter, but it was just it seemed like there was other guys around him, and he kind of graduated. I think he graduated like 2013 or 14, somewhere in there, kind of right before obviously that couple big years for Badger basketball. But he was someone that I just always really appreciated, and the textbook hustle Wisconsin guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Kind of that vein, my Bucks representative, I had to go with him, Bobby Portis.
Okay.
I mean, just we know what Bobby Portis kind of brings to the table. He's kind of like that ultimate chaos guy. Like he has bad games. Don't get me wrong, he has some really bad games, but like he's just kind of that ultimate if he's going well, usually it's going well.
Exactly.
Kind of a thing.
Yep.
Like, and obviously a big part of the title team in 2021. Like, we'll see what happens this offseason with him. He might have played his last game at all.
I hope not.
But he's just a very popular player. But like he just kind of brings different things to the table. Just someone that's just very easy for me to root for.
Mm-hmm.
2 other ones. One, I have 5 total.
Okay.
The Brewer on my honorable mention list, Manny Pena.
The pineapple?
I always view Manny Pena as being like the perfect backup catcher because he was good defensively. He had some power, and he always seemed like had a knack for big hits.
Mm-hmm.
So just Manny Pena was somebody that like I said, perfect backup catcher, a guy that you want on your team. Just seemed like a good clubhouse guy too. Like just yeah.
Oh yeah.
The other one I had to get a Penguins representative on here, and this is going back a little bit. Darius Kasparaitis.
Oh Jesus.
Defenseman. More of the.
You really put a lot of thought in this.
I actually did. It didn't take me very long to do this.
Wow. Okay.
But a defenseman, definitely like the physical, rugged defenseman kind of guy. The guy that wasn't going to score many goals, but he was going to, rough you up and, make sure you kept clean. But he was just, I don't know, just the guy that I just remember vividly from, like, my childhood Penguins fandom. Mm-hmm. Like, he played a long time in the league and actually had some run-ins earlier in his career with the Penguins, but ultimately ended up as a Penguin. I don't know, just a guy that always kind of stuck out to me as a guy that, not the best guy on those teams that had, Lemieux and Yager and whoever else, but, like, an important one.
Right. Well, that's your honorable mentions.
That was my honorable mentions.
All right. So I've got two.
Yeah.
I got two honorable mentions on this one. And this was, so part of mine were kind of maybe just this guy for just 1 year, but kind of a 1 year wonder sort of thing. But I was big into it. Tony P, Nigel Morgan for the 2011 Brewers.
Yeah.
I bought the player tee, the number 2. I wore it at Game 5 underneath my Ryan Braun jersey. So, I mean, throwing up the tee, come on now. That was Nigel Morgan. I was a big Nigel Morgan fan in 2011. So, what was that look for?
Oh, no,
I thought I screwed something up there at first. Okay, so I got another baseball one for an honorable mention. And I thought outside the box for this one now, okay?
Okay.
Baseball. Deion Sanders.
Nice.
So just baseball. But I was a Deion fan as a kid, so for, football and that, but then you ultimately had to be a Deion fan for baseball too. So I mean, I remembered I pretended I was a Reds fan. I remember going to Valley Fair. And that's when they had like the baseball helmets that you could wear. I got a Reds one because that's when Deion played for the Reds. So I have Deion baseball cards. So he didn't make an all-star team or anything like that. So I went with Deion as a honorable mention for because kind of a role player type of thing here. As we're talking, one player I wanted to throw in here then too. Could we throw Bo Jackson as a possibility for baseball because he never made an all-star game?
Yeah, he did.
Did he make an all-star yet? It's not listed on here.
He should have.
Or this might just be his football one.
Yeah.
Okay.
He definitely made a baseball all-star game.
Did he? That's what surprised me.
Yeah.
Okay, baseball career, one-time all-star.
Yes.
So one-time all-star, and he only made one Pro Bowl, so he's close. So he wouldn't have counted. So all right. Which I might have just thought of somebody else that I got to double check, just to make sure he is not. Okay, he did make. I was thinking Kevin Green there for a second, but yeah,
he had to have.
He did. Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Took a while though to get in the Hall of Fame,
but
yeah. But so all right, number 5.
Number 5 for me, and this is one that took a little bit, but this is going the Vikings route. But I'm gonna go Brian Robinson.
Okay.
Brian Robinson played 173 games with the Vikings from 2007 to 2017, but he was more of like the third. He was basically kind of like a pass rush specialist more than everything. He started 100 of those games, but still, like a lot of times he came off the bench, but like he had 60 career sacks. Like he was around with Jared Allen, and later with like Everson Griffin and Hunter. Like he was never like the guy, but he was always the guy in the mix, and he was always a guy that like he got 8-9 sacks ish a year. Like he was always productive as a pass rusher, and like as like a third pass rusher, that's very valuable to have when you can have a guy that can do that. Like and just. I mean, he was a popular guy in the locker room, and just I don't know, just a guy that kind of. The other thing that sticks out to me is he had a very for Minnesota local sack dance. Mm-hmm. He always went fishing.
Yeah.
So like he was, So he was Brian Robinson.
I hope I'm okay with this one, and I hope it's acceptable. It's because he does have a couple of accolades.
Okay.
But at really his peak, he was probably third, fourth wheel on the team. Okay? Nigel Hayes.
I'll give that to you.
Because I know he did make an all Big Ten team in 2016. Well, but, I'm looking at the 14-15 seasons.
Yeah.
It was Frank. It was Decker.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he obviously had the really big game. It was 2016 when they beat Villanova.
Right.
But like, he was the best player like on that team. So okay, but no,
I was a big Nigel Hayes fan. Yeah. And I just think now he's lighting it up in the EuroLeague.
Yeah.
He's so I guess if we count those accolades, he probably isn't eligible for this list. But I know it's kind of it's bordering line there, but that's why I got him at 5.
No, that's fine. I'll allow it.
Just because I loved Nigel Hayes. everything from on and off the court too. He was I was a big Nigel Hayes fan. So that's my number 5.
Okay. My number 4, fair warning, I have 3 Brewers.
Well, I kind of figured. So
and that's my top 5 are all Brewers and Vikings. By the way.
I've got a basketball, a baseball, and 2 Packers.
Okay. So. Good. My number 4, and I actually have a jersey of his, and it's one I like.
Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. Well, he never made a Pro Bowl. So.
Yeah.
But my number 4 is Carlos Villanueva.
I actually did have his autograph at some point.
I have a Carlos Villanueva jersey. I will break out every once in a while for when I go to a game, just because I'm that guy. But
yeah,
pitched for the Brewers from 2006 to 2010. Honestly, it lasted a while, and he has close to 1,000 career innings in the big leagues. Like his first 5 years, he bounced between starter and reliever. Like even closed some games for them, a couple times. But just you look at his numbers: a career .431 earned run average. Only according to Fangraphs, only worth 6 wins, but still only one really bad year, and that was his last year. Mm-hmm. So just a guy that he could be your long reliever. He could be your you could be in the rotation if you needed him to. I didn't have him on this list, but now that I think about it, I probably should have. Another guy that he kind of mirrors well with that is Brent Suter.
Oh, and I just watched the clip of him. Did you see with the Harry Carey impression?
Yeah,
that would have been a good one.
Very much kind of like the Brent Suter for those mid-2000s teams where he could start, he could relieve. Now he's actually working with the Brewers front office. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, Carlos Villanueva was just a guy that I always really liked. A guy that he's kind of a bit of a junk baller where he threw a bunch of different pitches. None of them were great, but he just found a way. He found ways to get guys out.
Yep. So that's your number 4. My number 4, Packer. Wide receiver, Robert Brooks. I was a big Robert Brooks fan. Career got cut short because of the knee injury and such. But he was my first, and it's a little bit of a kind of I don't know what, memento kind of thing. But he was my first Packers jersey. So it kind of always stuck in my head that was my first Packer jersey and such. But I was a big Robert Brooks fan. I remember I collected cards, magazine covers. So Robert Brooks. Number 4 for me.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
All right. My number 3, I have to have him on this list. He might have ranked a little higher a couple years ago. Craig Counsell. I have to have Craig Counsell on this list somewhere.
You.
I know, but I have to have him on this list somewhere. I mean, we're very well aware of the career, bounced around, was a part of 2 World Series teams with Florida and with Arizona. A couple tenures with the Brewers, including, the last 5 years of his career where he was basically just a guy off the bench. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, just just that veteran backup infielder guy. Guy that survived a long time despite not being the most talented player in the world, but he was we know the story. But I have to have him on there. I have to be honest with myself. Obviously, and even at this point, I'm kind of over him going to the Cubs thing. It's just kind of a fun thing to joke about. But he has to be on this list for me. Mm-hmm. He just has to be.
Yeah, I get it. Number 3 is probably a guy not a lot of people know about, but he was actually my first Packer autograph. But I remember to this day reading a Packer report as a kid, where Packer report was trying to make the case that he should be a Pro Bowl linebacker, and he never was. And he got an interception in Super Bowl 31. Brian Williams, linebacker Brian Williams. Racked up the tackles, over 100 tackles, I think, that particular year. Obviously made a play in the Super Bowl and such. I got his autograph because he came to Medford in the Packers versus the Police Department basketball game.
Who won?
I think the Packers did. And he was the main draw and such because Medford didn't get to draw a whole lot of superstar players. But I still remember reading that Packer report because then I ultimately, as a kid, you get your first autograph, you're going to be a fan of him. Mm-hmm. I was a fan. I remember reading he was on the cover of that Packer report, and they were making the case why he should be a Pro Bowl linebacker. Never was. Brian Williams, number 3. Not the news anchor, the Packer linebacker. Or the former
Vikings cornerback.
Yes.
Of the 2000s.
Yep. Number 2.
My number 2. And this one I believe is okay because he is in a Hall of Fame. But that's not why. Not the Hall of Fame for what I'm picking him for. Okay. My number 2 is Jim Kleinsaucer. Vikings tight end / fullback. Was drafted in 1999. Played with the team through 2011. Primarily, he's a blocker. Let's be honest. He was just a big blocking tight end, 6'3", 270. He started his career as a fullback. He got moved to an inline tight end, but you look at his career numbers, like they're not super great because, well, he's a blocking tight end. I mentioned in those 12, 13 years, 192 catches. So that's roughly an average of about 18 catches a year.
Mm-hmm.
Average about a touchdown a year, like less, about 160 yards, but just like and I mean, if you ask any Viking fan that's going to be roughly my age or maybe even a little older, they're going to love Jim Kleinsasser.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Jim Kleinsasser is he's actually a college football Hall of Famer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, at North Dakota. He was a 2-time All-American, 3-time All-Conference. Like, he was a beast at that level. And then he was like a second-round pick by the Vikings. Like, they obviously really wanted him because, picking that kind of guy that high in the draft is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out well. And he was just one of those guys like, just always, as a kid, always enjoyed Jim Kleinsasser. Like, gave me more of an appreciation for the blocking tight end.
Mm-hmm. Now I kind of wish I put William Henderson on my list.
Oh, that would have been a really good one. That would have been a really good one.
Yeah.
Jumping over guys.
Gosh, I think, okay. I'm just
Adam is a
honorable mention. I got to put William Henderson. Make fullbacks great again. We could have a list of fullbacks of just like all of these would probably qualify for this.
Is that the one we got to do here at some point?
Probably.
Favorite fullbacks of all time?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you talk about these role players, underappreciated role players. That's fullback.
That's like the ultimate position for that.
Yep. So William Henderson's on my honorable list. I have to. So.
Yep.
Number 2 should be no surprise. I don't think you'll guess my number 1, by the way.
Okay.
But my number 2 should be no surprise to anybody who actually pays attention to baseball. Okay? The greatest baseball player of all time, Sal Frelick.
Yes.
Come on. He's never going to, I shouldn't say never, but he probably won't make an all-star game. He doesn't have a lot of power, but I love his game offensively, defensively. Diving, hustling, Charlie hustle, 110%. Just muy bueno. Very good. I love Sal Frelick. And I just ordered a Sal Frelick jersey, too.
Nice. Good.
I'm all in on Sal Frelick.
I was contemplating, like, if I was down there sooner or later, like, seeing if you want me to get you, like, you want, like, a shirt or something, but you got to take care of.
I sat there and said, if Sal Frelick hits a home run today, I'm buying a jersey today. Well, it waited a few days, and he didn't hit a home run, but still, yeah. But Sal Frelick, baby, I got to put him on there. Number 2 for me.
I like it.
All right. Number 1.
I will give you a chance to try to guess my number 1.
Is it a Brewer?
It is a Brewer. He wasn't with the Brewers particularly long, but he, like, when I think it, like, to me, he honestly might be the most fun player, I would say, in recent Brewers history.
So I've got a couple of names. I'm Googling to make sure. Okay, so it's not Scott Podsednik because he was an all-star.
No, he was an all-star, yeah. I mean, I was a big Scott Podsednik kid. Scott Podsednik and Derek Turnbow were both all-stars, but, like, I don't even consider Turnbow to be a role player because he was, like, the closer.
So I'm going to throw a name out here. He did not make an all-star, but this was the second name that popped up in my head. Russell with the Muscle Branyan?
No.
Okay.
No.
Dang it.
No, that's a good guess, but no.
Is he a position player?
He is.
Have we talked about him before?
I think so.
I know it's not Betancourt.
No, it's not Yunieski Betancourt.
I don't know who.
The number 1 on my list, and honestly, this is a jersey. I should be able to find them out there because I think they're out there, but I would definitely get one and wear one. Eric Thames.
Oh, I never would have guessed Eric Thames. I never would have guessed that.
To me, there was just, and it's especially because it was like 2017. That was kind of the start of them contending. Like, there was just something fun about this guy that, kind of washed out of the majors, went to play in Korea, became like this Korean baseball god. He's just this big jack dude that just hits home runs for whatever reason. Can't stop hitting home runs against the Reds.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was just always having fun.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, he played first base. They tried to play him in the outfield, and bless his heart, he tried, but that wasn't his best. But I don't know. Like, there's just something about Eric Thames, like just big rip dude hitting tank home runs and with the big beard and now I guess in his later days he's still ripping. He's just crushing beers at games and stuff. Like, there's just something to be. I don't know. That's Eric Thames, just one of those guys.
I never would have picked that for you.
Yeah.
I'll give you a chance.
Okay.
To guess for mine.
Is it Packer?
I'll give you the sport. It's basketball.
Okay. I think I have a guess.
Okay.
Nick Anderson.
No.
Dennis Scott.
Yes, it's Dennis Scott.
Yes!
So there you go. That's why I didn't want to say the team.
I know. And when you said basketball, I'm like,
can't be a Buck.
That's it. Like, no, and I'm like, I think it's going to be Orlando Magic.
Yep.
So I figured Anderson or Scott.
Dennis Scott. I mean,
3.
come on. The 3. Even when I will play basketball on like the all-time Magic teams, I put Dennis Scott in the starting lineup, for crying out loud. I want a 3-pointer. It's from Dennis Scott. So number 3, who shoots the 3. Come on, it's D. Scott. D. Scott from those Orlando teams. You had Shaq, you had Penny, you had Horace Grant, Nick Anderson's there, but it was Dennis Scott, baby. I was a big Dennis Scott fan. So that's my number 1. Had to go outside the box on that one. So what are you looking at? You double checking my work?
No, I believe it.
Okay. Because I don't think he made an all-star team. Now you got me.
I don't think so.
You got me questioning.
The thing with the NBA, like the NBA to me has, in some ways, it's kind of the best all-star game because it's like the most exclusive one.
Mm-hmm. He did not. He was McDonald's All-American, Naismith Prep Player of the Year.
Okay,
so
I believe that.
First team All-AC, NBA All-Rookie First Team in '91.
Okay,
but that's
different.
It.
Yeah.
He did end up averaging for a career 12.9 points per game.
Yeah.
That's
He was
cool.
a solid player. Like as like the third option. I guess maybe Nick Anderson might have been the third, but like the third or the fourth option on those Magic teams. Like no, that's.
I mean,
that's
Horace Grant
very
was on
much
there too,
in the spirit of what I was going for with this. All of these players we mentioned, like, were never the guy on. Like, if you were going to play that team, your first thought was never, we got to stop Dennis Scott, or we got to slow down Eric Thames, I guess, unless it was the Reds. But
right, yeah. All right, good stuff, man. That's it for our top 5 plus. Again, don't forget to follow and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, hit us up. If you got a top 5 suggestion, let us know. Until next time, that's Brandon. I'm Dan, and we'll talk to you in the next episode of the Man Cave Podcast.